Hi everyone, Talitha here. Welcome along to this video. I'm founder of Life Force Locks and also Talitha Jane. I am a natural loctician, so I help people create and maintain their dreadlocks using the crochet hook method. I have a few crochet hooks here, and I am also a self-development coach, so I help people live their life well lived. Today I want to talk to you about creating dreadlocks and some of the things that will help your locks sit nicely, or one of the things that will help your locks sit nicely and not up on edge like Sideshow Bob when you first get your dreadlocks. So one of the things that I actually do, in particular with women, to have a more softer look is to start a little bit further off the scalp with the dreadlocks. So I don't start right at the root, I actually start a little bit further down, and part of the rationale behind that is so that the lock actually sits quite nicely and it's not going to stand up on end. As you can see, I haven't done my roots for a little while now, and it's quite loose from about here to my scalp. Now that would be less than ideal because if you started here where my hands are, it's probably about maybe 10 centimeters or so. Then by the time your hair starts to grow and you need your roots done, you can imagine your dreadlock's going to be halfway down your head, right? And so most people come to me to get maintenance done when it's about the length of my, the space between my scalp and my dreadlock at the moment. So people will come and get their dreadlocks maintained when there's about 10 centimeter regrowth at the root. I start my locks probably about, I would say, about 5 centimeters off the head when I create dreadlocks, especially for women that want to have that softer look. Sometimes I'll start right at the base, but what you'll find is if you sit there and have this happening and this pulling and tugging right at the root of your head, it becomes quite irritable and hard to stand for a long period of time, especially if it's taking 8 to 10 hours. I know one of the major dreadlock salons in our country, they just recommend taking Tramadol and sitting through it, but I don't necessarily think that's the most ideal situation for people. So I start a little bit further off the scalp, and then I recommend coming back and getting it locked up to start with probably about 2 to 3 months after your initial consultation. And then you can start to spread out your maintenance a little bit further after the fact, after that. So 3 months, 6 months, once a year, depending on how well you look after and maintain and separate and roll your hair. So that's a little insight there, just answering a question from one of my future clients who's coming. She asked how far off the scalp we can start. I wanted to share that with you. The further off, obviously, the more regrowth is going to happen, the longer the space between the dreadlock and your scalp. And as a loctician, having someone come in with a long gap between the scalp and the dreadlock, you're pretty much re-dreading a whole, new dread, and it takes forever. So my advice is don't go any further than 5 centimeters off the scalp, give or take, because 10 centimeters or more, that's actually going to be a really big job for the loctician to maintain. Also, it's easier for your hair to separate and to find its way into other dreadlocks and to create a big bird's nest and to create a big mat. So you really want to actually have these cylindrical dreadlocks near the root of your head so that it's easier to maintain for yourself and the loctician. I always, once a week, roll my locks and separate them, pull them apart, make sure that the hairs are actually going into the places it needs to get to. I also, with feel, go through and lock up the strands. I just haven't done it on these yet. But again, that's something that you would have to do a little bit of practice with. I wouldn't recommend doing that straight away. Yeah, hopefully that has answered a question. How far off the scalp can you begin when creating your dreadlocks? If you have any other questions, do go ahead and drop them down in the comments section below. Like this video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Hit the notifications button wherever it is to get notified when I upload new videos. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining me. Ciao for now.